Hi guys, today we'll see how to integrate automated insights to your Power BI dashboard. They will get automatically regenerated in response to filters within your dashboard. Also, we'll use dynamic values generated using natural language. The great news is we'll develop all of this without using coding or docs. But before we start, make sure to subscribe to this channel to stay updated with amazing business intelligence projects. During this project, in previous videos, we developed a visually appealing dynamic sales report. And today we'll add an executive summary page and we'll utilize smart narratives and values to draw significant insights behind the data. If you haven't watched the previous videos of this project, I left a link for you in the description. You can watch them after we finish here. Also, you will find in the description a link to the Power BI dashboards we developed during this project. Now, grab a cup of coffee, sit back and watch. Okay guys, this is the dashboard we created in the previous part of this project. We can filter for different countries and switch between products and countries. Now what we need to do is an executive summary to summarize the insights of the data behind this dashboard. Let's start by creating a new page. We name it Executive Summary. And we import the background as usual. I have it ready. Let's set to fit and transparency to 0. Next, let's go to the overall trends page and copy the trend visual and paste it back in the executive summary page. Now there is one thing we need to do here. We need to make sure to filter the data for this visual to look only into one of the hierarchies because we have the data duplicated in that table. So let's filter it for country. Let's resize it. And we start by changing the fields added to this visual. Let's switch the date to date hierarchy and remove the day and the month. Next, we will change the name of the column field and the line field because the automated smart narrative will use those names when generating insights. So let's name the first one to sales only and the second one to change in sales. Next, we can see that this visual a little busy. Let's turn off the column labels and from general let's change the title to sales and a $sign and change with the $sign too. And let's change the background color too. Now we go to insert and we select smart narratives and we can see the insights are auto-generated. Let's remove this extra one. As you can see, the smart narratives provide insights about the trend showing in the visual and it actually responds to date filters. Let's see how it works. Let's add a date slicer. Let's just format it. Remove the header, remove the background, add borders and shadows. And also let's change the shadow colors for this visual. And now let's change the dates in this slicer and you can see the smart narratives get generated again. Now we have limited control over the format of those insights. However, we can change the number format. For example, we can change from general to currency. Let's apply it for the others too. Let's resize it a bit and add a yellow background with transparency to 30 and visual border and shadows. Also, let's add a title. We name it Summary Date Insights. We change the color and the background and we put it in the middle. Now let's test it further. You can see how it gets regenerated again. We can see a new insight came. Let's change the number format again to currency, but don't worry, this doesn't happen a lot for our data because we have maximum of 3-4 insights and they just get updated. And this is how we use the smart narratives. We learned how to create smart narratives. Now we want to add values. And this slide here shows the difference between the smart narratives and the values. The smart narratives are fully auto-generated. Both the text and variables will be auto-generated. But the values, only the variable will be auto-generated, while the text, you can write whatever you want. Both of them requires no coding or docs, and they both update automatically with filters. And finally, for smart narratives, we have limited formatting option. We can format the whole text with variables at once, while values allow you to filter both the variables separately and the text you enter manually separately. So now let's see how we can add values to our dashboard. Okay, now let's just give a headline for smart narratives. Format it, put in the middle, and make it bold, and let's move it down, and we'll put the values also in the same location. Let's start from the left, and we start by writing the text we want in, and we'll go to add a value. Now, the nice thing about this values, you can use natural language to find the values you want. So let's, for example, start to find a column called period, and we want to show the first value. So just type in first period, and you can see from the list it shows there. So you just select it, and as you can see, the results shows 2022 quarter 2. And based on what we selected in our slicer, this is the first value we applied the filter for. So if we slide the start, we can see how this value changes to show only the first value. So now let's continue the text by saying the overall reported sales value was, and again here we'll type in sales, and we say filter for first period, and we can see from the list also it shows the sales filter for the first period. Let's change the number to currency, and we see in the dashboard it updates. However, we see here the value is double what shows in the trend line, and this is because our dashboard is not filtered for one of the hierarchies. So let's apply the hierarchy filter on the page. Select country, let's lock it, and we can see now the value matches the value showing on the trend line. So now let's repeat the same process for the end period. Again, we add a new value, and we look for last period, and we can find it from the list. Let's apply it, and we type the overall sales value was, and we search for sales filter for last period, and we can find it from the list. Let's insert it. Let's just change the number to currency again. Now we can try to format those variables separately. As you can see, we can change the size, the color, and make it bold too. Let's just remove the extra space, and here we go, we added the values. Let's test them. We change the slicers. We can see how the smart narratives with the insights updates, and also the values we created updates. Now let's continue working on the executive summary page. Let's just resize the date slicer, also the trend line, leave a space here for the cumulative sales. We go to the sales page, we copy the overall KPI, and we paste it to this page. Let's resize it, and from view, let's show selection, and we go to the overall KPI, and we delete all the cards, and we only keep the trend line. Let's just resize it again. Next, we'll add a card, and we feed the sales to it. Let's format it, change the font size, the font color, and decimal places to 2. Let's turn off the category label and show title with overall sales with $sign, and change the title color and the background color and put it in the middle. Now from general, we hide the background and we add borders and shadows. Now let's move it on top of the KPI trend line and put it inside the KPI group and just resize the trend line a little bit. And here we go, we have the overall sales. Now let's add a tree visual to see the breakdown of sales in different countries. Now we feed L1 to the category, which is the country, and we feed in the sales to the values. Let's resize this visual and move it below the trend line here, and let's format it now. From general, let's hide the title, and from value, let's show data label, and from general, we remove the background, we add border and shadows. Now let's go to visual and change the colors. We don't want to use category colors. Instead, we'll use conditional formatting, and we select the format style as a gradient based on the field sales. Change the minimum value color to red, the highest to green. Hit OK, and we see the colors updated. Let's change the slicer and see if it works. Everything looks good. Now let's repeat the same process now for the products. Let's copy the visual, move it just below the country visual and feed in L2 for products. And again, repeat this one more time. For this visual, we want to show how the sales change from quarter to another. And for that, we need to add a custom column. Let's name it quarter. And I have the function ready, q plus quarter, and taking the date. Now let's feed in the quarter column to the category and remove L1. Now let's create dynamic values to show the sales in different categories. First, let's copy this text box and resize it and place it below here. Let's empty it and let's change the title first for sales per country insights. Next, we'll add a value and we'll search for the country or L1 with highest sales. And you can see it here showing in the list. Let's just select it, hit OK, and let's add the extra text. Witness the highest sales between. And add a value for first period and a value for last period. And write with a value of, and again add a value and search for sales for L1 with the highest sales. And we can find it. Let's just select it, change the number to currency and save. Now let's repeat the same for the worst sales in a country. We add a value again and we look for L1 with lowest sales. UK comes. Let's add witness the lowest sales for the same period with a value of, and search for sales for L1 with lowest sales. Here it is. Let's just select it, change general to currency and save. And we can see the values showing Saudi Arabia, which is showing the highest sales, and see the start and end period based on what we selected in the slicer, and also the value showing the same value showing in the tree visual. Now let's format those values, changing the size and give it a green for the highest, change the periods. And for the lowest values, we'll give them the color red. Now let's repeat the same process for the other categories. We duplicate this text box, update the values, and format them. Let's see the product showing the correct value, product 1 the highest, and also the quarters showing the correct values. Now we have one thing we need to do here. So for example, if you select USA here, you can see that the sales per country insights provide the same value for the highest and lowest because we filtered the dashboard only for USA. To overcome this, we'll go to Format, Edit Interaction, and prevent the tree visual with the countries to filter the country insight. And also let's make it filter the other visuals instead of highlighting them. And we repeat the same thing for the other two categories, the products and the quarter. And now we have the dynamic values ready and updated as expected. We can see the values look correct. For example, we can see how the insights get regenerated based on the quarter we select. And that concludes the dynamic values. Now we want to create navigation between the executive summary page and the other pages. Let's first move the executive summary page to the front, and then let's resize the country tree visual, and from insert we add a blank button. Let's resize it, and from style let's add a custom icon. I have 3D, add fill and borders and shadows. So we have the button ready. Now for action, we will use bookmark. Now let's set the bookmarks for the sales page. We navigate to the sales page and we select first the country and set it to Canada or any of the countries, and from view we turn on the bookmarks and we add a new bookmark. Let's rename it to country. Now if you click on the three dots here, you can see that this bookmark filters the data, the display, and the current page. That means whenever you activate it, you will always come back to this view with the same filters applied. Now let's create another one for products and add a new bookmark. We name it product. Now let's check if those bookmarks work, and they work as expected. Now let's go back to the executive summary page, select the button we added, and from action we select country. Now let's copy this button for products too and select the bookmark as products. And now our dashboard is ready. Let's test it. Change the date slicers. We can see how the data updates. Click on the country button. We can see it takes us to the sales page. Let's just add a back button here. From style, change the icon color to white. Let's test further. Select, for example, for product. It takes us to the product bookmark as expected. And by this, our dashboard is ready and we concluded the third and final part of this project. During this project, you saw how using simple and limited data, we developed a dashboard that actually tells a story. Also, we paid attention to make this dashboard visually appealing, intuitive, and dynamic, with the ability to slice the data and look at it from different angles effortlessly. And these are the ingredients to create a good dashboard. As a business intelligence specialist or consultant, make sure to keep this recipe in your mind whenever you start a new project. In a few seconds, I'll present you with a demo of the dashboard we created during this project, and I will highlight those ingredients for you. In this demo, you'll see that I added 2 enhancements that we didn't cover in the videos of this project. And I left it for you as a challenge to figure out how they can be done based on the videos you watched during this project. For the first enhancement, when we created the drill through to the trendline page, we had two buttons, one for the overall KPI and one for the category KPI. We had the second button gets enabled only when a single KPI is selected, but the first is always enabled. So I changed it to be disabled when the second button is enabled to give the user one button to click and make it more user-friendly and intuitive. While the second enhancement was added to improve the storytelling of the dashboard. In today's video, we created a button to go to sales page using bookmarks, and it always takes us to the same view. I updated this button to get only activated when one country is selected, and when clicked, it will take you to the sales page filtered for the selected country or product. I believe after watching the videos we covered in this project, you'll be able to do it yourself. Consider this as a test to your knowledge. And now I would like to leave you with a final note. Don't try to explain the data presented in your dashboard. Instead, create a dashboard that tells the full story about the data. Peace.